Can you imagine the seismic earthquake that would rock the entire NBA if LeBron James suddenly found himself wearing Warriors blue and gold, teaming up with his longtime rival Stephen Curry? Hold on to your seats, Lakers fans, because the latest trade rumors swirling around the league are absolutely mind-blowing. Sports Illustrated's Dan Angel has proposed a blockbuster scenario that would send both LeBron and Bronny James to the Golden State Warriors in exchange for Jimmy Butler and a 2028 first-round pick. This isn't just your typical NBA trade speculation. We're talking about a deal that could completely reshape the Western Conference landscape and create one of the most fascinating storylines in basketball history. Let's dive deep into this absolutely wild proposition and break down why both teams might actually consider pulling the trigger on what could be the most shocking trade in recent memory. The sheer audacity of this potential move is enough to make your head spin, but when you really analyze the basketball and business implications, it starts to make a twisted kind of sense. From the Lakers' perspective, this trade represents something that might seem unthinkable to the purple and gold faithful, the beginning of the post-LeBron era. Now, before you start questioning the sanity of Lakers management, consider the cold, hard financial realities they're facing. LeBron's contract expires at the end of the 2025-26 season, and the organization is apparently hesitant about committing massive long-term money to a player who, despite his otherworldly talents, will be pushing 42 years old. The genius, or madness, behind this proposal lies in the Lakers' apparent long-term strategy. Angel suggests that Los Angeles is positioning themselves to make a run at Luka Doncic in the future. And honestly, that's the kind of franchise-altering move that could justify trading away the king himself. Imagine building a core around a player who's already establishing himself as a generational talent while still in his prime years. Jimmy Butler, despite being 35 years old, brings exactly the kind of two-way excellence that championship teams are built around. We're talking about a player who has consistently elevated his game in the playoffs throughout his career. His defensive intensity and clutch gene are legendary, and pairing him with Anthony Davis could create one of the most formidable front-court combinations in the league. Butler's playoff resume speaks for itself. He's the type of player who rises to the occasion when the lights are brightest. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating from Golden State's perspective. The Warriors have been searching for ways to maximize their remaining championship window with an aging core, and adding LeBron James will create one of the most intriguing veteran super teams we've ever witnessed. Picture this: LeBron James and Stephen Curry, two players who defined the modern NBA era, finally joining forces instead of battling against each other. The basketball implications are staggering. Curry's incredible shooting ability paired with LeBron's court vision and playmaking would create matchup nightmares for opposing defenses. How do you game plan against a team that can have either the greatest shooter of all time or one of the most intelligent players ever running your offense? The spacing alone would be absolutely devastating, and we haven't even mentioned how Draymond Green's defensive versatility would complement LeBron's basketball IQ. Then there's the Bronny factor, which adds an entirely different layer of intrigue to this potential deal. The father-son storyline would capture the imagination of basketball fans worldwide, and having them both in the Warrior system could create marketing and storytelling opportunities that transcend the sport itself. Imagine the emotional impact of LeBron and Bronny sharing the court in Warriors uniforms. It would be appointment television every single night. The financial considerations are equally compelling for both sides. The Lakers would essentially be trading one massive contract for another, but Butler's deal gives them more flexibility moving forward. They'd also be adding that crucial 2028 first-round pick, which could prove invaluable in future trade discussions or draft scenarios. For a franchise that has mortgaged numerous future assets, getting some draft capital back would be significant. Golden State, meanwhile, will be betting that LeBron's championship experience and leadership could push them over the top during Curry's final prime years. The Warriors have struggled with consistency this season, and adding a player of LeBron's caliber could provide exactly the kind of stability and veteran presence they need to make another serious championship run. The defensive implications of this trade are particularly intriguing. While LeBron isn't the same defensive force he was in his Miami and Cleveland days, his basketball intelligence and ability to make key defensive plays in crucial moments remain elite. Pairing him with Draymond Green would create a fascinating dynamic where two of the smartest defenders in the league could communicate and adjust in real time. From a legacy perspective, this trade would be absolutely fascinating for LeBron. He'd have the opportunity to team up with Curry, potentially winning a championship with yet another franchise and further cementing his case as the greatest player of all time. The narrative possibilities are endless. Imagine LeBron James finally get his hands on a Warriors championship after all those epic battles during the 2010s. However, there are legitimate concerns about whether this trade makes sense for either team. The Lakers would be giving up the greatest player in franchise history for a 35-year-old Butler who, while excellent, doesn't have the same ceiling as LeBron. The Warriors, meanwhile, will be betting their immediate future on the health and continued excellence of two players in their late 30s. The chemistry factors can't be ignored either. Both LeBron and Butler are alpha personalities who are used to being the primary decision makers on their teams. How would that dynamic work alongside Curry and Green, who have their own established roles within the Warriors system? Sometimes great individual players don't necessarily translate to great team chemistry, and that's a risk both organizations would have to carefully consider. The timing of this potential trade is also crucial. Both teams are at crossroads in their respective trajectories. The Lakers are trying to maximize their remaining time with an aging superstar while positioning themselves for the future. The Warriors are desperately trying to squeeze another championship out of their aging core before their window completely closes. Ultimately, this trade proposal forces us to confront some of basketball's most fascinating questions about aging superstars, championship windows, and franchise building. It's the type of deal that would dominate headlines for months and create storylines that would captivate fans throughout the entire season. Whether this trade ever materializes or remains nothing more than compelling speculation, it perfectly illustrates the complex strategic thinking that drives NBA front offices. Sometimes the most shocking moves are exactly what organizations need to reach their ultimate goals. What's your take on this absolutely wild trade scenario? Would you pull the trigger if you were running either franchise, or are the risks too great to justify such a monumental gamble? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and hit that like button if this trade proposal has you as fired up about the possibilities as we are